What we're trying to do here and why it's important, we're looking at streams that are degraded. They have a variety of land uses and water uses in them that have resulted in the water being degraded, polluted, the stream being degraded or polluted. In this region, 300 years of farming, we've lost 90% of our sensitive species are gone. The moderately impaired streams, maybe 50% of our sensitive species are gone. So these are large changes, large losses of biodiversity, and our goal is to try to fix those.
The history of the Delaware River Watershed Initiative was brought to us by the William Penn Foundation. We do land protection and watershed restoration, and because Berks Nature does so much of this work, we were asked to lead the Middle Schuylkill Cluster Partnership with our partners at the Partnership for Delaware Estuary and with the Stroud Water Research Center.
So here specifically in the Middle Schuylkill, we're focused on working with farmers to implement practices that protect water quality but also improve the farm operation.
One way we like to sum up things in general is our job is to keep the clean water from the dirty water, water that might be affected by either erosion or manure.
That barn there never have a roof over it. And literally where you're standing here, all the manure run right down this driveway and right to that culvert and right across into the pasture.
Dairy manure comes out of there into this.
Actually, we met with Larry Lloyd with Berks Nature. He pointed out how bad the pasture areas were. He, talked about different ideas of fixing it, and obviously keeping the manure water out of the stream was the highest priority.
We've been wanting to have a riparian buffer for a long time, and our land was currently in cropland. It's not ideal farming land. It's often way too wet during the year to have crops in it, but even for grazing, it's also very wet. So if I have my cattle in that area, they're more likely to be making mud, which is not healthy for them to be in.
What those best management practices do is help keep contaminants and nutrients out of our water so that as we prepare to drink the water, it's safer, it's cleaner. That drinking water is important to everyone downstream, but it also is important to the farmer in terms of making their farm more sustainable and more efficient. And that keeps the farm in agriculture.
I would say our general overall approach is we want to keep a farm from being converted to hard surfaces. We want our farmers to be successful, and we want them to be successful following best practices that benefit the environment that the community shares, as well as the environment on which that they live, and which their animals share as well.
What we're trying to do is allow the farm to be there, to be profitable, to produce the food that we need, as well as clean water. Clean water both for the animals that live on that farm, clean water for the recreation downstream, clean water further downstream for the water intakes that go to drinking water.
When we take a look at a farm, we often take a whole farm approach in terms of installing conservation practices, and it's very expensive. It's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. No homeowner could do that, let alone a farmer necessarily. And so what we at Berks Nature try to do is to find all of the pieces of the funding so that there's very little to no cost to the farmer.
NRCS only covers like 75% of the load, and then we're supposed to take the other part. And for the money that they spent, and mine's small, there's no way I would have been able to come up with the rest of the funds to do what we did here. But if it wouldn't have been for Berks Nature and Larry Lloyd, I know my project never would have gotten off the ground.
I'm a farmer. I raise beef, I raise pork, I know that. I don't know how to grow trees. Stroud and Berks Nature and the Berks Conservation District, they help to provide funding to plan out and design the riparian buffer, the stream bank fencing, and the stream crossing. Now we have a riparian buffer of large established trees through the help of these organizations.
Luther and Teresa, if you don't take advantage of this, and all of a sudden a mandate comes down that every farm, dairy farm, has to have manure storage, he said, how are you going to pay for it? And we couldn't. it's a very helpful tool, but very expensive. So, you have to understand, let people help you, and then maybe in turn you can help somebody else.
Funding to support best management practices on farms often help farms become more sustainable, more streamlined, more efficient, and then they stay as farms, which are important to our landscape and important to our local economy.
I can't tell you how blessed we were to have the people that we worked with, like starting with Berks Nature and then introducing to the NRCS, and definitely a learning process. And the more you learn, the more you want to learn, especially when you see the success that this has brought us. I don't know, it was fun. It was fun, and you gotta have fun. If you're gonna work hard and you can have fun doing it, that's a good thing.
There will always be work for us to do in the area of installing best conservation practices on land, whether that's on a school property or a non-ag landowner property or specifically on farms. We pretty much come back to the same practices of riparian buffers, planting native trees within the corridor of streams, keeping animals out of those waterways so that the nutrients don't pollute the waterways, trying to manage stormwater on properties. Those conservation practices are important to any land use.
This riparian buffer keeps our soil protected on our land, which is an important resource for me, but it also keeps water on my land and works as a filter, cleaning the water as it enters the stream. It's a really awesome resource because it's not only protecting my own land, but it's also cleaning the water for the community as it comes through our farm.
The cows are healthier. The pastures that they go into now are actually pastures instead of dirt lots. And also, we feel good that the water going into the stream is clean. When muddy water comes down the stream, it's generally not coming from our farm, and that's just a good feeling.
Good environmental stewardship translates also into a more profitable farm. And that's a win-win. And that's what we're always looking for. A win for the farmer and a win for the neighbors of the farmer. And I'm talking neighbors, both immediate neighbors and the downstream neighbors. And so everything we do from the top of the ridge down to the stream has a connection to that stream, and that's our challenge. All those acres are all part of our water protection plan.
So I think it's important to understand your watershed, know where your water comes from, what's the quality of water where you recreate, and what can you do to help enhance that habitat and environment, not just for yourself, but for all the critters, large and small, that share this planet with us. Because without water, there is no life.